Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey guys, what's up? I wanted to make a video on class setups. Now, I know that the game is what, 7 months old, something like that, and I just don't see the point of doing class setups for the most part, but I still see a bunch of people out there, maybe they're doing accomplishments or challenges, just not making a lot of sense to me of what they're doing. So, and I've looked at leaderboards, and usually, there's not a lot of people who have over a 1.0 KD. From what I've seen, yeah, you run into people with over 2.0, and these just you get into these sweat fest lobbies. But I'm gonna give you my opinions coming from someone who's a Master Prestige 959. I've played the game a lot. I know Call of Duty, so take it for what it's worth. First and foremost, it's personal preference. Don't go watching those fucking videos saying this is the sight you want, this is the fucking gun you want, and these are the perks you want. Um, you know, take it with a grain of salt. It's all about personal preference. I like to tell people or ask them, how do you die a lot? Do you usually die by long range? Uh, what? Look at yourself and your play style, analyze it, and ask yourself, how do you die a lot? What frustrates you the most? And try to counteract that. Uh, Everyone's got different play styles. Me personally, I like having dead silence on for everything. I like, uh, being stealthy, I guess, if you will. Not a lot of people will use dead silence because they don't feel like there's a lot of players out there that that are sound whoring and use headsets. By the way, if you're watching this, if you subscribe to me, chances are you don't need this video. But if someone stumbles upon this, it may be able to help them out. So I'm going to run it down. Um, you're going to see on almost all my class setups here I have here, and I've got 8 of them. Um, and yeah, I could show you a couple more, but these are just kind of the basics. I'm going to have dead silence on most of them, and I'm going to have uh, what is this called? Fast hands and quick draw on most of them. I'm gonna kind of explain why. In Black Ops 3, especially with this movement system, especially with the way that they made the maps, even the bigger maps, and their spawn locations. You have your opponents spread out everywhere. Mind you, I play a lot of team deathmatch, so if you're playing something like Uplink or Safeguard, you're going to spawn in certain specific locations. But I know most of the people played team deathmatch, so just know that with Black Ops 3, uh, these even the bigger maps could be condensed. Even something like Stronghold, it's very condensed to that house. So you can make a case that you want to. I wouldn't recommend a shotgun on a big map like Stronghold, but you can make a case that why not? Because everyone's going to that fucking house. So, um, I'm gonna break it down here for, let's say, a bigger map, like to me, like Stronghold or like Infection. Um, you, you can use an assault rifle. I also like. I've basically have told myself, because everything is close quarters, I've kind of gone to almost strictly SMGs. But I made an assault rifle class here. These two are pretty much the same thing. One has a melee, one has a trip mine. To me, the Razorback is pretty much just as well performing as an assault rifle. The only exception is that with an assault rifle you can have high caliber, and some might argue that that you can draw just as fast with an assault rifle or aim down sight just as fast with an assault rifle as you can with an SMG. I do well with both. Now, I'm big on suppressors. Not that many people are. I'm someone who likes to be stealthy. I don't like people knowing where I am on the minimap. I don't like popping up on a minimap. That helps me out a lot. I've tried different setups, and I noticed that I've got a lot more people coming at me when I don't have a suppressor on. I don't think the suppressor really hurts you unless it's long range. And what did I just say about long range? That's not really happening in this game. It was happening in Ghosts. I didn't play Advanced Warfare, But yeah, the suppressors don't really hurt that much. So you're gonna want quick draw, fast hands, and because it's a bigger map, because you might be uh, boost jumping or power sliding a lot, or especially if it's a map like Breach where there's a lot of gaps and you want a wall run or whatnot and jump boost around and use a blast suppressor. Okay, I'll get into that how you don't need a blast suppressor on other maps, but it's mostly map specific. You want to make classes set up for all different kinds of maps that are out there. You can't just have one basic class setup, have that be your go-to, and have it work to the best of its ability on every single map. This in a class setup like this, which might work well on something like Breach or Infection or Stronghold, isn't going to work so well on Combine. Okay, so I had one spot left, so you can use maybe a tactical, a lethal, or a secondary like a launcher. If you're using a launcher, don't use Ghost. There's no use something else like Overclock. If you're a cheeser, use Sixth Sense. I hate that fucking perk. I'll never fucking use it. But a lot of times I die. Notice I ask myself, how the fuck did they know I was coming? It's because they had Sixth Sense. Um, so I just don't think on these bigger maps you're gonna need something like a tactical mask. I do have a class set up with tactical mask, but you're not gonna need that. Um, you know, quick, fast hands, man. Everything's got to be quick on the draw in this game. But the reason why I went with melee is because when you get into close quarters, just change your weapon up real quick, and you'll realize just how many more times you don't die because you're in a close quarters room. And I'm talking like running through hallways. Um, like let's say in that map Hunted, where if you get into that house and you're running up and down those stairs, if you switch to a melee weapon, instead of just shooting them right away, like you could just kill them with one fell swoop. You might get injured, but you're gonna survive. So let's go on to like a smaller map. Um, I can't really think here off the top of my head, but it's going to be basically the same setup, but with an SMG. Uh, I think with the Kuda is the best all around weapon in the game. You've got some range with it. You got damage. It's a higher. It's just an all around great weapon for the kind of attachments that I personally like to use. I was never into sights in the past. I always wanted to choose with games like Ghost and Black Ops One, and I liked using weapons that I liked the iron sights with. But I've realized that uh, a sight like the Elo sight or the reflex sight or this BO3, that could work really well, and it helps. So I had an extra spot for it. But if you like your iron sights, don't use the sight. Quick another tactical or get rid of the melee and add yourself another perk or get yourself a lethal. These are just what I personally use on most maps. Um, uh, so just so I can sit here and well, I won't do that right now. Now this is like I was saying, this is big with a lethal. So if a place like Hunted, if I spawn in behind that house, I like throwing a trip mine in that water. It'll be, as I'm going through, I'm checking the mini map. I'll throw a trip mine. So, um, it's kind of preference. What do you want to use? Do you want to use an SMG kind of setup like a Razorback with a something like a trip mine or a grenade? You can be set up for different things. If you notice that there's a lot of people out there hiding in the house or in the barn or in the church, throw a lethal up there. Change your class, throw a lethal up there instead of trying to go melee them all. I like trip mines because they're like a grenade almost, but they're not going to go off right away. So if I notice someone's up in the house or the church, I throw a trip mine up there. Unless they have hardwired, it's going to get set off. So let's go on to, let's say this could basically be named small with two lethals. Sometimes it's good to use this at the beginning of a match. You want to cover your six because, let's say, a map like Fringe, you spawn behind that house, which is the opposite side of the barn, by the way. You can go put two lethals over there on the automotive side, and uh, you can go cover the middle of the map or the railroad track side. So I kind of like this only really at the start of maps or maps like Havoc. And that's what I was thinking of. I was gonna go try and find out like the small. You could use their maps like Havoc, for example, or Exodus. But in maps like Havoc, I like using two trip mines because if my team takes control of that main building, I could put a trip mine at the entrances of both, or at the entrance of one, and go put a trip mine up in the window room. You're gonna want a class with hardwired. Like I said, if you realize that you're in a lobby with people who are running counter UAVs, Sixth Sense or Tracker, it may behoove you to just say, "Fuck it, I'm putting on my hardwired class." And as I said, the gun you want to go with, in my opinion, would be the CUDA. If you really like your ARs, use your AR. I mean, there are good weapons like the XR2, the Shiva. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like I said, it's personal preference. Um, Let me just make sure I've covered everything here. Okay. If you want to run a sniper, the only maps I recommended running a sniper on, unless you're a great quick scoper, which I am not at all. I'm a I'm a hard scoper, but sometimes I love. It's some of the most fun I have in this game now is just sniping, setting myself up in the barn, the house, the church. Uh, you know, the only maps I really snipe on are Infection, Fringe, and you can make a case that Hunted. You could do that if you're in the shack by the bridge or the house right out there at that big window room by the waterfall. Then, or you can even be in grandma's house. I know I don't have visuals here, but what I'm saying is you got longer ranges where you can set up and snipe. I personally like running overclock on this because if I need to switch my weapons or at the start of the round or every time I respawn, I've got an SMG ready to go. I chose the VMP because it's if I think someone's sneaking up on me when I'm sniping, I can switch over to that and just melt them. Just melt them. Just use evasive maneuvers, serpentine style, and just melt them. It's helped me out a ton more than running a pistol. But you can run a pistol. In my opinion, if you're trying to snipe, trying to get those accomplishments, thermal works great. I did not like the thermal sight when the game first came out, but I've realized that if I'm hard scoping out the church or out the barn or the houses, it works great because not that many people run cold blooded to counteract that, and you can see when someone's head's is popping out. So just pick them off. I think the locus is the way to go. Um, it has steady aim, just like the Draken. But the Draken usually takes two shots, and the Locust, I just have more fun with it. I used to love the SVG, but I just realized that the only way I really like running that is if I have the ballistic CPU. But I can't run that if I'm running a thermal. So to me, the Locust is the best all-around sniper in the game. You're going to want to cover your six, so you want a trip mine. Um, you could go with two trip mines, but you're basically just giving up two spots there because you're going to have to run double tacticals. I love running the trophy system in case someone wants to jump up, throw up a concussion grenade or flashbang or a grenade in the room that you're sniping from. Dead silent, you can make a case that I don't need dead silence here because I'm basically setting up in one location and sniping. I just love dead silence because I hate hearing my footsteps. And if I get into a situation where I realize that there are a lot of people rushing, I can leave wherever I'm coming from, switch to my VMP, run around the building or the barn, whatever I'm in, and flank them. It helps me out a lot. I may be able to get rid of it, but just something I'm used to personally. You don't need fast hands on this. It might help you. So you might want to go there. That's what I used to run on this. But I realized that, if I'm, hard scoping, I don't really need fast hands. So I run something up that's going to behoove my whole team, and I run Annie up. So when I'm sniping there, I can get my score streaks faster. Uh, Usually when I'm sniping, I'm running with hives. So I use hives with Nomad to cover my back, cover your six. Don't just go up and. I see so many people trying to snipe, get their dark matter, and They don't have hives. They don't have a trip mine. They don't have a trophy system. That's the biggest mistake I think you can make. That if you're newer to the game and you're trying to snipe, you've got nothing covering your six. People can just run up on you all day. You don't have no clue how many times I've run up on people who are trying to snipe because they don't have anything covering their six. So overclock works great for me because I can replenish those hives faster. Okay, you, you don't have to, but I think it's a great idea to run a support class um, and, and put quick draw on that thing. And pick your weapon of choice. But if you get into a lobby where you've got wraiths, um, I wouldn't really suggest UAVs because, as you noticed, I'm running Ghost on a lot of these. That you can change out Ghost for something else, anything you want. Um, but if you got people busting out Cerberus left and right, wraiths, um, maybe not so much a wraps, but I think you get the point. Like a hater, run the black cell, and things like the EMP will help out a lot to help you knock those things out of the sky or blow them up. Run blind eye. You're gonna want blind eye on this class. It's just a class to get rid of the nuisance on the map. Engineer helps. Cold blooded, so that a hardened sentry or a Cerberus isn't going to gun you down if you're trying to shoot it for the betterment of the team. You can also use this class as a if someone's running hives, throw an EMP. All the times running hives, uh, I've never noticed my trophy system to shoot down attack an EMP. Maybe they have, and I just haven't noticed it because it gets blown out of the sky. But I've noticed EMPs coming in while I have a trophy system, and it'll take care of even my trophy system. I am regretting telling you this. Luckily, I'm not going to get a lot of views, but if you're playing against me, you start running EMPs, you're going to piss me off. But it is what it is. I also like running this tactician because it could also help out when you notice that there's someone head glitching at one location in the map to where your teammates can't get past and he's just getting his score streaks. He's around the corner somewhere. Just throw up a flashbang or a concussion grenade. I prefer flashbangs because of my style of play. I've realized that even if I throw a concussion grenade, I'm still getting killed. I don't know how the fuck it's happening, but it's fucking happening and it's pissing me off. So I started running flashbangs. And I noticed that if they get hit with that, if they're not running a tactical mask, they're gonna start turning in circles and jumping around. It's the funniest shit ever, and it helps out a lot. So if you notice someone's in that window room, aimed, whether it's in, let's say, Havoc, and they're basically just aimed out the entrance, not even the window, just the entrance, trying to get cheap kills. You throw a flashbang up, um, it might help you out a lot. Take care of that and help your team out. Help yourself out. If that's all you care about. Shotgun maps like Combine and one of the new DLC maps, Rift. As I said, you could make a case for even a lot of the bigger maps like Stronghold if you're running to that house. But it's good to have a shotgun class. And I know a lot of people hate the Brecci, but they only hate it because it kills them. I personally hated the Brecci and I hated using it in the past because I didn't have a fast trigger finger. I was never someone before this game came out. I was never someone who liked going and accomplishing everything on all the weapons. But I played this game so much because there was nothing else really for me to play. But I started wanting new challenges, and I started getting used to weapons that weren't fully automatic. I was strictly fully automatic in the past, so I never realized why I would have used the haymaker. But to me, the breckie is is kind of overpowered. I'm going to admit it. It's overpowered, but it's really only overpowered in the right hands. Now, in my opinion, if you're running a shotgun class, let me back up a little bit. You can run like the Argus, KRM. If you're running the Argus, I've realized that you have to aim down sight. Really, I don't know what it is. I know I see my friends and myself getting picked off sometimes with the Argus, but yet when we use it, it's almost a shoot two-shot kill for some fucking reason, unless we're aiming down sight. But if you're in a map like Combine or these smaller maps, trust me, you don't need dead silence. As much as I love it, you do not need it. There might be people out there who can sound horror and hear you, even with all the chaos going on around you. But I just don't think you personally need dead silence. So uh, I strictly use this on these smaller maps. Um, I run tactical mask, and I think it helps me out a lot because I'm throwing these flashbangs left and right, especially if I have scavenger. So around every corner, I'll throw a tactical, see if I get a hit marker, and then I go in the room and take care of business. And I'm running scavenger because I don't need to aim down sight. It replenishes my grenades. I'll throw grenades, frags, semtex, trip mines, whatever you want, in locations where usually your opponent is going to be. We call it sniper alley on Combine. You can change out Ghost for Overclock or Sixth Sense if you want. I just like Ghost because when I hear an enemy UAV go up, I just figure that's my time to shine. That's when I'm flanking those fuckers. But you can make a case for Flak Jacket. This works well even on Nuketown, but Nuketown has some of those longer sight lines, way longer than Combine. There's a lot of them on Nuketown, and but I don't like playing Nuketown. I back out every fucking time just to make a point because this movement system just isn't great in my opinion. Now, I chose Annie up here. You could pick whatever you want, but it works out really well for me because if I'm running flashbangs and grenades, tactical mask, um, and I've got the breckie with the long barrel because I just don't feel like you don't really need uh, what is it fast mags because it you can change the mags out fast enough with the breckie, faster than anything except yeah, faster than any shotgun except maybe the Argus. You don't need stock because you're not aiming down sight. You don't need a suppressor because there's so much chaos going on that they're pretty much they're going to hear it anyways. It's such close quarters; they're going to hear your shots. Um, but I just feel like the long barrel in this situation overrides every other attachment you could use. But if you want another attachment, get rid of Ghost. If you want to, if you feel like no one's really throwing tacticals, um, in the kind of lobbies that you get into and you never realize it, then don't use it. I just use it a lot because it helps me out, and then especially helps me out when I happen to miss throwing my tactical, and I don't basically fuck myself in that situation. But that's pretty much it, guys. As I said, it's usually personal preference. Uh, I've got my shotgun class here. I got my support class here. I've got my sniper class here, all ready to go, depending on what map I get into. Another thing that works out well for me is using different specialists for different maps. Uh, on a map like Aquarium, I love using gravity spikes. You can say War Machine, but um, I love using gravity spikes on Aquarium because it's really the only time I use gravity spikes. It's because they tend to get into that upstairs building room, and when I've got that thing ready to go and I know at least one person's up there, I just jump through that window, hit the gravity spikes, and usually get 2 kills. So Um, a map like Combine, I use War Machine because there's choke points on that map, and it's all about just knowing your surroundings. Don't bust out this thing when you're in the middle of the map unless it works great for you. But it's just my opinion. Just don't bust it out when you're in the middle of the map. You want to use it when you're on the sides, the edges of the map, and you know that all your teammates are behind you, um, and you know where they're coming from. That's when it's great to use. You can make a case for Tempest. But Yeah, guys, and just another little tip here. If your game mode is more hardcore, I highly recommend going with an ability, a specialist ability over a weapon, because you don't need the fucking Annihilator or the Tempest to do a one-shot kill, or the Sparrow. Run Vision Pulse, run let's see, Combat Focus even, or Psychosis. Trick the active camo is great. But that's it, guys. That's my tips. Take it with a grain of salt, though. Do what's best for you. Analyze how you're dying a lot and try to minimize that. And have different class setups for different maps, and in a couple for different situations. All right, guys. If you'd like to see me do any more tips videos, you have any questions, I can make a video on like what I think the best way to get to dark matter is on your weapons. Um, Spoiler alert, it's going to be to have these different class setups so that you can work on different things at different times. Don't just run through them like, you know, all SMGs first, all assault rifles first. But I could do a different video. If you'd like to see it, leave it in the comment section below. Any questions, comments, anything I missed, leave it in the comment section below. If you think I suck at life, you're probably right. Leave it in the comments below.